project would file.
Doesn't mean that they have to submit all those documents.
Doesn't it say right in there that they can waive? There's some waiver language in there that allows the.
It's in your ordinance. I didn't
Right.
look at the
Yeah,
application to
it's
see
in
what
the
it's, yeah.
ordinance,
But
right.
the ordinance does specifically say that the commission can waive submission requirements, yes.
The commission still has the authority nevertheless to waive submission requirements in appropriate circumstances in the sound exercise.
That's actually
of its
it's actually in the
discretion.
amendment, yeah.
Right.
But that language, that particular language is in our ordinance, actually. That's stated in the ordinance itself.
Anything further regarding the ordinance, council?
No.
Gentlemen. Hearing none, we'll move forward with the public hearing with regards to ordinance number 2012-02. Again, I will start on the right side of the room against the wall. Moving back along the wall if anybody has commentary regarding ordinance number 2012-02. Seeing none, then I will move over to the center section of the room, starting with the first row. Moving on back to the second row.
Yeah, Jan Bastine, 209 High Street. Like, what, can you give me a sports and brief, like what it does change? Because this is a major pain sometimes when you're trying to do work on your house.
Absolutely, especially being in the historic district.
You know it.
Again, it reaffirms the Historic Commission's ability to waive or enforce the procedures that are in place. It allows them to adopt further procedures to move forward with the process. Provided with the ordinance is also a draft application to which would replace the existing application. It still allows them the ability to draft a new copy if they so choose. The fast track process, as Ms. Hoffman has spoken about, will remain as a separate part of that.
Is that in place now, that fast track?
With
For certain
certain
items.
Certain
applications.
types of applications.
Yeah.
This grants the ability for the commission to adopt the procedural rules of which they operate and review and either waive or grant or request additional information and so on and so forth.
Does it expand their jurisdiction over anything
No.
they already have?
It expands their ability to frame their applications, but it doesn't change their jurisdiction at all.
Still within the district.
I mean, as far as
Anything
certain
that we
things,
need to-
like for instance, they don't have anything to say about what colors and stuff like that.
No, there's nothing that was drawn out with those specific guidelines.
This is, if I may, Mayor, this is purely procedural. It expands their ability to describe what needs to be submitted with an application or doesn't need to be submitted with an application. Nothing to do with the substance of what they're hearing.
Okay.
Hopefully it'll be easier because then the applicant will know what items they will need to bring.
Okay, all right, thank you. Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the second? Moving on back to the third row. And to the fourth. And all the way to the end. Very well. We'll close the public hearing with regards to ordinance number 2012-02. And I will move back to council for any further commentary or action on the ordinance. Hearing none of the action on the ordinance.
Make a motion to approve ordinance number 2012-02, second reading.
There's a motion on the floor by Mr. DeFalco to approve ordinance number 2012-02 on its second reading.
Second motion.
And a second by Mr. Dowd and Mr. DeFalco's motion. Ms. Conover, may I have a roll call, please?
Mr. DeFalco?
Yes.
Mr. Bell?
Yes.
Mr. Dowd?
Yes.
Mayor Donnelly?
Yes. Ordinance 2012-02 has been duly read and approved. It will be published according to law and enacted 20 days from publication. Moving forward, we have ordinance number 2012-03 on its second reading this evening, which is, readopts and reauthorizes provisions of Chapter 52 within the Township Code. I was going to say, you throw me for a loop here.
It pays in abatement.
Excuse me, covers the 5-year phased-in abatement process within the municipality. Any commentary or question from council? Hearing none, we will open up ordinance number 2012-03 for public hearing. We'll start on the right side of the room against the wall, moving back. Do I have anybody along the wall here wishing to comment on ordinance number 2012-03? Seeing none, I'll move to the center of the room to row 1. If anybody has any commentary regarding 2012-03. To the second row. And to the third row. Fourth row. And to the back of the room. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing for ordinance number 2012-03. Bring it back to council for any further comment or action on the ordinance. And then I'll offer a motion to approve on second reading ordinance number 2012-03.
Second move.
A motion, and Mr. Belvin has seconded my motion for approval of 2012-03. Ms. Conlon, may I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Falco.
Yes.
Mr. Belton.
Yes.
Mr. Dow.
Yes.
Mayor Donald.
Yes. Ordinance number 2012-03 has been duly moved and seconded. Will be published according to law and take effect 20 days from public approval. Next, we have public discussion of the resolutions. As always, members of the public are welcome to comment. We ask that you do come forward and state your name and address for the record. Again, if there's any matters of law enforcement or code enforcement issues, we ask that you please see Chief Martin, who's seated at the front of the room with those issues. As in the past, we have had investigations compromised. So I will open the floor again to the public for any comment, starting again along the wall.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor. Sorry. Before we proceed, I'm going to table resolutions 1 and 2. I need further consultation with the solicitor prior to council adopting those.
So you'll be pulling resolutions 2012-41, which
Yes.
supports the Wildlife Action Plan, and 2012-42, which supports sustainable land use law.
Yes.
With 42, was there a time frame? I believe there was a time requirement that Ms. Rothman?
No,
Excuse me.
actually, that was a different resolution, and in your packets where we received a letter that she didn't receive the grant under the clean, so that the other resolution that backs that one, we don't need to do that one anymore.
Okay. So this evening we will move forward with the agenda consisting of 2012-43, 44, 45, 46, 47, and the bill list. That is correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
With that being said, again, I will open to the public along the wall. Mr. Howell, good evening.
Good evening. Al Hallwell, 121 Evergreen Street. First, I want to talk about the residents in the gardens and Habitat for Humanity and some ideas that I talked to council and we talked about actually about a year ago. And the first thing I want to state is I don't represent Habitat, I don't represent the homeowners in the gardens or anybody. As a person living in town, I wanted to see what I could do to start something rolling here. So I met with Habitat representatives about a month and a half ago, their construction chairman, and I asked him what the possibility of building 40 houses would be in El Hollow. And after a while, he realized I was serious. So we met also with the director, and then 2 weeks ago I met with the total board, and they are very interested. We talked about funding, we talked about the owners, we talked about how this would be a project for them, because it does build and it does fund in a separate model than they currently use. But they are very interested. So also within the last month and a half, I've met with Olga Palmer, with the lawyer for most of the gardens folks, and most of the gardens owners, excuse me, and presented the same thing. What are your opinions on having Habitat, working with council, working with Mount Holly Township, build homes as a community somewhere in the gardens area? And
Just real quick, Mr. Howell, you've had quite a few dealings with Habitat and volunteering with them in the past, and
yes, I started with them back in '89. Habitat's built over 500,000 houses around the world at this point.
just you have some groundwork with
Yes.
Habitat as it is.
Yes,
Sorry to
that's fine.
interrupt you.
So the homeowners, they had a lot of questions. We talked for 2 hours. I left and said, call me, you know, talk among yourselves, give me a call the next day. Olga called back and said they were very interested. There's a ton of details to work out, we all know that. Money is one thing, of course. There were some other tie-ins and other issues that we need to talk about. I guess I'm just asking tonight is how do we continue this conversation to include the township and council and pull all the interested parties together? That's my main question, I guess.
I think, I think you're correct in the fact that, there's not one solid solution. So, any options that are brought to the table, I would think, and again, I'll speak for myself and not for council on this one, but, are definitely up for discussion, especially since, given our history with the project and some of the people that have been involved in the past. With that, Mr. Guest, do you have any legal recommendations? I know you're not our redevelopment council.
Well, certainly something the council would need to consider what their position is. We've talked about similar approaches to the problem, and of course there are constraints on the township because not only the debt that you have, but also the contracts that you have out there. So I mean, it's certainly something that we should consider, but I suspect that the next step would have to be council to consider whether they want to make a direct contact, and if so, under what terms they would do that. It's not as simple as just saying you're going to build. And I think Alan probably realizes that too. It's not as simple as just saying here's X amount of land, you're going to build 40 houses. Right? There's a lot of other considerations that have to go into that. Not the least of which is the fact that we have a proposed settlement position from Ms. Palmar on behalf of most, but not all, of the people she represents. And we have to see how that all works into this as well.
So then, moving forward, Mr. Howell, I would, given Mr. Guest's statements and not having, our redevelopment council here, I would take that, again, we would move to executive to discuss our further plans and, an additional option that's been brought to the table. Now,
Just one thing I want to add. I mean, I presume Mr. Hollowell has done this, but I just want to make sure that, so that nobody is being misled or gets the wrong impression, that you're clear that you're speaking as Alan Hollowell,
Yes, that's
and not representing the council.
Exactly. That's what I mentioned to everyone I've ever talked to, that this is not coming from council to them, it's not coming from them to council. I just, as an interested party in the town, hope I could just pull the three different groups together. After all the years, there's been a lot of changes in this past month that really helped towards this. And we'll see where we go. And Habitat's interested, they're very interested. I mean, I can have them come and give a brief presentation at the next council meeting if they'd like.
well, I think moving forward, I think that's when Mr. Gibson's present as well with the council, and Mr. Maley, present as well, so we can discuss some of those options. But now knowing that, again, there is another viable option out there, maybe not, for the initial redevelopment or for the initial phases, but maybe something else within the tract that we have. Obviously, you're not the only one in town or the only one who sits up here that has, reached out to other people and tried to get other options and other things, just seeing where.
I'm sorry. Finish what you're saying. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Too late, man.
Yep, too late.
Stop me right in the train. Go ahead, Ryan.
There you go. I apologize.
We lot of
I would not bring in a presentation until you've had a greater chance to assess where you are and where you're going on this thing. Obviously, the public is not as privy to all of this, but, you know, there have been more discussions along this line, both internally and with legal services over the last few months than there have been for quite some time.
Thank you.
Yeah, if I could do anything to help you remember where your
Now I
thought
can
was,
start that freight train back up again.
I'll
Thanks.
shut up, I apologize.
Anyway, Mr. Holloway, you're definitely not the only one that's reached out to other parties to find out if there was an interest in, you know, some sort of progress in the West End track. You know, for that, you know, I appreciate you reaching out. You're definitely, you know, obviously not speaking on behalf of the township. You have disclaimed that, you know, you've gone and just, you have sought options to bring to us as a third party, and I appreciate that. And it's something that's probably, I don't want to say been lax, but has definitely not been there throughout the whole process. So with that being said, you know, we'll move forward and discuss further in executive session, probably at our next meeting.
Yeah, see if Mr. Nally is available.
Very good. And with that, we'll get back with you, you know, being as you have a contact with Habitat and their executives.
Okay.
And we'll figure out where, if we can go anywhere from there.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else along the wall there? I hate saying along the wall, it makes it sound so bad when people are in the field. You gotta do something there.
That's I for you.
It's not a side, it's a row. Moving to the center of the room here in the first row, if anybody wishes to comment. Mr. Lopez, good evening.
My name is Luis Lopez. I'm from the Mount Holly Garden. Lived there for the last 17 years. And I want to know if Ms. Cathy, are you looking to the new federal funding I told you about for open space you can use, you know, for the Mount Holly Garden to improve?
Are you talking about federal funding or the county funding?
I think for the county, that's including Mount Holly.
No, but there's two different types of, there's all kinds of funding. It could possibly be the open space through the county, it could be open space through the federal government. I'm not sure which one you're talking about.
I could use that too tomorrow.
Okay.
And I did this funny because I saw it in the newspaper and I saw it on the internet. You know, it said for, you know, for the entire county, that's including Mount Holly. And the second is, what, for the St. Patrick's Day, why is it so pushed up to the end of the month?
Well, the township obviously does not run the parade. It's run by an independent group which has a director. And the director and those responsible for running the parade, at the time they made the decision not to have it due to the calls for inclement weather on the 3rd. So they thought it'd be safer to postpone it to March 31st to have it in hopes for better weather. So obviously the call was made at that time based on the weather reports.
And second is, on Facebook there, I was looking up, there's a sign, I think downtown about a parking signs. What's your opinion about that?
Parking signs?
Yeah, signs for kids park during school hours, it'd be tickets.
Probably the residential parking permits?
I don't know, I was reading on Facebook there was people, you know, wake up right here, been, you know, working right here, living right here for, you know, 17, you know, 15 years, now I got a ticket.
Well, not knowing specifically, you know, there is signage around town. There's, you know, certain areas where you have to have a permit to park during, you know, there's school hours parking, there's resident parking, there's 2-hour parking, there's 15-minute parking. I mean, there's signage throughout town, so it's.
And I want to thank Ms. Caffrey for our report, for the updated report. I thought it was 4,000, now just look at it, it was 500. And how, there's not another way to contact CFO through the email or like contact through like phone or something like that?
Yeah, you can call her or email her. She has email.
No, I went through other than email, like phone call or
Yeah,
something.
you can call her directly.
Okay, second is, what's the update status to the pay-to-play ordinance?
we'd have to schedule a work session.
And for one thing is, let me see, Mr. I forget what I've never seen him buy a police car. I was so surprised. And second is, I did when I said at the last meeting about the freeholder purchasing the property. Can you research on that?
Yeah, I haven't gotten any answer
And
about them purchasing the county purchasing property within the municipality.
and question on number 4 and number 7 of your new business action. Can you rephrase? And for number 4, this will be the fourth time, like in 5 meetings, corporation for that.
I give you the same answer I've given you for the past 5 meetings. It's probably been less than that. The emergency appropriations will be passed to the point that we have adopted a budget for the fact that we need to operate the township. We need funds to operate the township. By passing the emergency temporary appropriations, we're allocating those funds to a temporary budget so we can operate the municipality. At the point when we officially adopt our municipal budget for 2012, we will no longer have that. We will officially have a budget to operate from. But until that point, we'll have these emergency appropriations.
For number 7, can you tell me, or what's the current balance of the UAC fund?
Offhand, Mr. Brown, the current balance,
1.8,
1.8 million.
around there.
That's minus 702 from agenda 7.
It's 1.8 currently, and that's what 702 is moving.
And last question, I want to Richard Dow. I hope you look through my video minutes from the last meeting you missed. If you could look it up, I just uploaded it yesterday.
Thanks.
I could, give it. Okay, all Blu-ray this, and just look at it, and since you wasn't here, and I hope you feel much better now. But just look at it and just give me your like comments. And then for the rest of the council, you just try to leave comments on my YouTube video. I would like to, as I'm trying to broadband across the world. I mean, the whole people. My last comment is, I thought we having the worst, crisis for police, budgets. Now, that's another time, it's worse than us. I hope they follow the same, procedure we do. For example, Medford, that has the worst crisis. And that is, any up to date to the budget for this year?
We have to have a budget meeting, Mr. Lopez.
I mean, you see any changing?
We have to have a budget meeting. Mr.
Okay, thank you.